Subnautica 2 developers deceived by publisher Krafton leadership causes leadership to depart. Subnautica 2 publisher Krafton delayed the much-anticipated sequel following the departure of studio leadership in early July. But Bloomberg's Jason Schreier reports the source in both cases involves the rescission of a $250 million bonus. The game, by developer Unknown Worlds Entertainment, was set to enter early access sometime this year until Krafton claimed more content needed to be added and for quality improvement. A claim challenged by studio co-founder Charlie Cleveland in a formerly Twitter post discussing his departure. Quote, "So you can see why for Max, Ted, myself, the Unknown Worlds team, and for our community, the events of this week have been quite a shock," Cleveland wrote. "We, quote, we know that the game is ready for early access, and we know you're ready to play it. And while we thought this was going to be our decision to make, at least for now, that decision is in Krafton's hands. And after all of these years, to find that I'm no longer able to work at the company I started stings." The other figures referred to above, fired by Krafton, was co-founder Max McGuire and CEO Ted Gill, who had been at the company since 2018. Bloomberg reports the developer leadership was against the delay, and it seems to have been decided so that the promised $250 million bonus to be given if certain sales figures were met was made impossible. Krafton counterattacked in a seemingly deleted statement on their website that in part reads, quote, "Specifically, in addition to the initial $500 million purchase price, we allocated 90% of the up to $250 million earnout compensation to the three former executives with the expectation that they would demonstrate leadership and active involvement in the development of Subnautica 2. However, regrettably, the former leadership abandoned the responsibilities entrusted to them. Subnautica 2 was originally planned for an early access launch in early 2024, but the timeline has since been significantly delayed. Krafton made multiple requests to Charlie and Max to resume their roles as game director and technical director respectfully, but both declined to do so. In particular, following the failure of Moonbreaker, Krafton asked Charlie to devote himself to the development of Subnautica 2. However, instead of participating in the game development, he chose to focus on a personal film project, end quote. On July 10th, one day after the story originally broke, Cleveland made another social media post declaring a lawsuit against Krafton with McGuire and Gill. In the same post, Cleveland goes on to refute Krafton's claims of pocketing the bonus, saying it's totally untrue, and that the three leaders had planned to distribute the extra earnings amongst the developer team. Schreier posted to Blue Sky unveiling the lawsuit is over breach of contract and that additional information will come to light over the following day. Unknown World's new CEO is Steve Papoutis, known for his work on the original Dead Space trilogy and Krafton's previous title, The Callisto Protocol. Papoutis apparently had no knowledge of Krafton's plans regarding the delay in promised bonus. So, to say all that in a lot shorter, Subnautica 2 was going to reach its early access release date. Leadership and development were ready for early access, and they were very excited to release it to the public. Subnautica 2 is a very and a highly anticipated game. I believe it's like number 2 most wishlist game on Steam. Behind what? Do you know what it's behind, Connor?
I do not know. As a matter of fact.
Find that for me.
I will.
Quick. You know, open up that Steam thing. And Krafton fired or kind of forced out the C-suite of the developer, and then delayed the game, seemingly so that they don't have to pay out this $250 million bonus, which would have been spread amongst the development team. Wow. It just feels very slimy, very grimy. It feels like Krafton is really like pushing in a bad way to like get these leadership positions out, probably filled with someone who's more applicable to them, and to like just hold on to this $250 million. What's crazy to me is it costs money to like push out a C-suite team. So they would rather spend some money, probably not $250 million worth of money, but they'd rather spend some money than give money to their employees who are reaching their target goals and are set to release one of the biggest games of the year. That's nuts.
Number one most Steam wish listed was Hollow Knight Silk Song. As I could reasonably believe. People are anticipating that game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At the end of the day, this is, for now, he said, they said. Because when I first was reading this story and researching it, I was like 100% going to be backing the developers. And I still overall do. But you never really know how things are going on behind closed doors. So Krafton could be reasonable in the sense that these guys were kind of abandoning their role in that game, leading to their departure. But what makes that all icky is that the fact that no developers other developers that talked to Jason Schreier, who originally broke this story, were coming out and saying, no, the game's not ready. They were trying to, the leadership team was kind of trying to screw us over. They had nothing to say about the leadership, not even refuting their claims that they were going to put a bunch of the money that they were going to get in that bonus. Because the bonus, again, was going to go directly to them. They just were making promises that they were going to distribute it, which apparently they've done in the past. And again, when he had said that in one of his posts, no one counteracted that. No one said anything yet. And the fact that they then went on to be the initiators in a lawsuit makes me think that they think they have a case here. And it makes sense, especially because, it really does seem like it's all centered around that $250 million, because that's a big chunk of change. And Krafton, like many other big publishers, isn't exactly a trustworthy source of any kind of information, because they're going to do what any company wants to do, which is cover their ass. And a story of them trying to push a game out of the year it was originally planned to come out so they can deny a bonus wouldn't look good for them. And so,
especially if it still hits within their fiscal year, so they still get that stock bonus of profit in that sense and so forth. It just feels like all signs are kind of pointing one direction. Of course, Krafton is pointing in another direction, but they're going to. Krafton is, of course, the publisher. I forget their biggest game that they put out. It's like a multiplayer-based game that I've forgotten. That I've just drawn a blank on right now. But obviously, Subnautica was a huge game for them. Callisto Protocol, which was mentioned prior to this. But most recently, to my knowledge, or most notably, I should say, Krafton is the publisher that recently revived Tango Gameworks and brought back most of that development team in order to develop a new game for them. Now, whether that's a Hi-Fi Rush 2, it hasn't really been 100% confirmed, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that route, even though they can. But yeah, this stinks. This feels like the grimy business side of the industry that we often talk about and go back and forth on. But I think both me and Connor align one way here pretty clearly of like, yo, Krafton, y'all are on some wild shit right now, and y'all should kind of get checked for this.
They made PUBG Battleground.
Ah, that's it, PUBG.
Yeah.
So obviously, we don't got to speak about the impact of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. That kind of kickstarted the battle royale wave, inspired Fortnite to become what Fortnite is today. Mm-hmm. Yeah, PUBG was huge. Winner chicken dinner was such a big thing in the late 2010s, So yeah, this sucks, and my heart goes out to these developers. Now they're suing Krafton, which I think they rightfully should. Now the if they win, whatever residuals they get from that, these guys are no longer part of that company, so they are not required to disperse their winnings amongst that development team. So that development team might be fucked. Might just be screwed out of that money. Which if I was listening to my information right as this story was developing, the Unknown Worlds Entertainment is like 100-man team. There's like 100 people on that team. So if you split up $250 million evenly amongst 100 people, that's 6 figures per person. That's a chunk of change, and would have been very, very nice. Now, would it have been distributed that evenly? I doubt it, but I'm sure that bonus would have been very, very nice for everybody on that team, and for a team that, all signs are pointing to is working well together, was ready for launch, was ready to enter early access. Subnautica was one of the big early access games that really kind of paved the way for a game dev that was listening to its community, that was, updating and progressing along inside that, and was a fun game from all that I've heard. I've personally not played it, but I know it was real big in the streaming space. I know it was really big in the online multiplayer space and in the PC space. Like it did a lot, and it really helped sort of, to my memory, establish what an early access game is and how it's beneficial for development studios.
Yeah, and you know, going back to the aspect of this being he said, she said, he said, they said. I guess they said, what you pointed out, that they'd be, if any kind of, you know, they get some kind of payment from the lawsuit, it'd go directly to them. If I'm being critical on them for a second, the founders, could they have kind of planned that in a way, knowing that the 250 million bonus wasn't going to happen? Because again, it was going directly to them. I'm just speculating here because again, what we know about these guys is that they have done these kinds of things in the past. Are they making a big stink out of this because they got denied out of that, and now their path is to say, well, let's do a lawsuit since we have an angle here we can take, and we can have our pound of flesh in one way or another. Now, I'm speculating. I have no actual evidence for this, but
I mean, regardless,
I don't know these people.
Regardless, it sounds like they made a deal with Krafton, and Krafton is doing what they can to avoid holding up their end of that deal.
And to that point, the whole entire benefit of early access is that you hammer out issues the game might have. It seems like why they're delaying it are things that could be hammered out through an early access release. Developers have talked on multiple times. Baldur's Gate 3, for example, one of the biggest games, best games of all time, considered by a lot of people now, started in early access. It probably wouldn't have been as good as it was if they didn't have the rollout of all the classes, for example, and races. It benefited them. It helped lead to that release. And so Subnautica 2 easily could be the same case, especially because I think I had read it that the original game was also in early access.
Yeah.
And
that's what I just said.
Oh, that's what you said, sorry. And you know, I have much more confidence in saying that a publisher is acting scummy as opposed to individuals within, you know, a development team, even leadership. So, you know, I'm interested to see what develops over these next couple of days, since I imagine this will be an ongoing story, at least for the next couple of weeks until it kind of evens out, until the lawsuit goes all the way through.
Yeah, we'll be getting updates for this probably for the next like six months to a year plus, you know, just depending on how this court case rolls out. But yeah, for me, God damn it, this fucking dog.
Because you're all burping, you're covering yourself.
She likes to do, Connor. She likes to go under my bed for like comfort reasons. She's burrowing, you know. So my bed has these like little pull out drawers underneath it that you can pull out or whatever. And she loves getting underneath the bed so that she can push those drawers out so that she can give herself more space down there, you know. And I'm like, that's not the purpose of, like, you shouldn't, like, that's not the priority here, dog. Like, you're down there, you can hang out down there, fine, but stop like pushing out my drawers and making a mess.
Well, then push it back, and it'll like force her to be like pushed herself, and then she'll get the message at some point.
She's just gonna fight me on it, you know. And she does it when I'm not. She usually does it when I'm not sitting right here next to it. So like, it's just one of those things that I'm like, I'm too lazy to go fix that right now. Yeah, I can feel her already pushing against the drawer as I'm trying to push it back in.